Everybody say, hey, Miss Parker.
Hey, Miss Carter.
Everybody say, hey, Miss Carter.
Hey, Miss Carter. Miss Parker! Miss Parker!
What's up, everybody?
Hey, people.
It's Jordan.
And it's Chrissy.
And you are watching Baggage Claim. So today we are here to inform and affirm. That's what we're here to do. And we are going to be talking about police brutality and the riots that have been going on and protests all across the country.
Yeah. Yes.
So
this message was, extremely inspired by just what Jordan said right now. And we want to give our thoughts about things along with some facts and some information that we have received from other people who have had experiences with maybe black business.
Yeah.
You know, people who have lived in a time where things were different, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But mainly the purpose of this video, like Jordan said, we want to, one, inform people who don't know of these things that are going on, of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of minorities, black people who may have been involved in riots or, maybe upset right now because some people fail to kind of understand why certain groups are frustrated and angry, and, you think it kind of comes out of nowhere. And we are here to debunk that myth, one. And then two, for affirmation. That's purpose number two. So we're here to affirm those of you that may be experiencing some form of anger, but you're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Am I tripping for the way that I feel? We're here to let you know that you're not tripping for the way you feel.
You are not tripping.
We're going to back that up.
Your feelings are valid.
Yes.
But anyways, let's get to the point. Let's start with slavery. So, let's talk about it. Slavery.
Slavery.
Black people pretty much worked for little or nothing.
Yeah.
Okay? So,
insert the fact that slavery is probably one of the main, if not only, things that's really talked about in our history books.
Yes.
Like slavery is
it's like
the highlight of
and
black
Martin
people.
Luther King and Rosa Parks.
Yeah, that's it. In the
it.
history books, like when it comes to talking about black history, these are the things that are probably the most common. So for those of you that are tuned in, we're going beyond slavery.
Right.
And there is life beyond just slavery.
Exactly.
So I'll let you continue, Jordan.
She's a mess. So slavery, it's the place where we, as black people, experience a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Ring a bell?
Yeah.
Abuse. Ring a bell. So we experienced all of this type of stuff. We lost our last names to our masters, as the slaves would say, massa. So we lost we pretty much lost our identity. We would get traded for little money. Like, how can you trade a life?
Yeah, there was
money?
A number.
You know?
So of course there were pennies attached to your worth.
But right. So why did I say but that's crazy.
Yeah, really.
But
it becomes, you know what, really, Jordan, I don't think that was so accidental, because when you said but really, it just reminded me of how numb we are to a lot of those things, because it's like slavery. Okay, it happened, it's a thing that happened, but it is something, and as it relates to trauma, that is still
affecting us
like
today. It's still a part of our culture.
Yes.
And we wonder why we do things the way that we do them. That's because it's embedded in our culture.
Deep down, ancestral. We're still absolutely being affected by it. Right.
In slavery, we were treated, all types of ways or whatever. We had to raise kids that were not our own. We were raped. Our kids were taken away. Let's talk about it. Slavery is a time that the black person is just not proud to talk about.
No.
And let's talk about even after slavery. Even when the slaves were freed, there are documentaries out there proving that the slaves did not have work outside of the plantation. So they had to go right back to the plantation to make the money. The same place where they were oppressed, abused, and used. Let's talk about trauma. Okay.
So what is freedom? Like that,
What is
that
freedom?
poses the question, what exactly is freedom?
Right.
So if you're freed from a plantation, told that you can go be free, it's like, hey, look, here we go. So I've actually kind of researched a lot about just slavery or being freed in general. So basically, when we were free, we were just the same as how slaves ended up having to go back to certain masters. We were like, wow, well, we're free. Now what? Now what do we do? Let's go live the American dream. Let's go get access to the things that we've never known about.
Right.
And so, you know, it was almost as if we were set up for failure, so to speak. You know, we were like given rights, but being given rights is not enough. I'm trying to think of the exact quote that was used. I'm going to insert that quote. We'll insert that quote that was used. And guys, but seriously, you know, you can't just free somebody and tell them they're free and then expect them to go and live.
And they don't have any resources. I was talking to one of our, wow, what would I call them?
They're like mentors.
Let's go with mentors.
Yeah,
so they're pretty much mentors. Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
And he began to describe how in business, you know, you have this owner and you have this income, you have this revenue, but you also have to pay out to your employees. Imagine slavery, getting all of this revenue and gaining all of this income for your benefit and paying the slaves little to nothing. Imagine how rich you would be if you didn't have to pay employees.
Cha-ching.
So here it is. The white man is making all of the money off all the labor that the slaves are putting out. And we're starting life once we're freed in hard mode.
Yeah.
We don't have any resources.
No.
So imagine that.
You know, I don't know if I'm going too far ahead right now, but I'm going to jump there just for a second because this takes me to Black Wall Street. It takes me to Black Wall Street mainly because once we finally began to come together and start to collectively utilize the resources that each individual had obtained and use it for the greater good in order to build up a community, build up an economic system that worked for Black people, it was mysteriously burned down.
That sounds really familiar.
You know, and I mean, it even continues to tie into trauma if we're under the umbrella of trauma, because it's almost as if no matter what you do, it doesn't matter because you're gonna lose anything that you build. It's gonna be tarnished.
Yes. Speaking of, I talked with somebody else and she was telling me how her family lost land. They wrote a family book or whatever, and she learned that her grandfather wasn't able to read. But what happened was her grandfather had this land. And this is a Black family, but her grandfather had this land, and the clerk of court sent a letter to the home, and grandfather couldn't read. And during this time, I mean, segregation and all of that, grandfather couldn't just go to the courtroom and be like, hey, this is what's going on. First of all, he couldn't even read to know what he was talking about. So what happened was, they lost the land. Somebody bought maybe 200 acres or something like that for $80.
This just, wow. This actually happened in Winfield, Louisiana. So, name dropping. This happened in Winfield, Louisiana. So, in Winfield, most people don't really know this, but there were, of course, two separate schools. There was the senior high school, and which is where I graduated from, because, of course, I graduated at a different time. But there was also, they called it Pinecrest. So, all the Black teachers taught at Pinecrest. And all of the white teachers, of course, and the white students attended.
Listen, this is 2011.
Yeah. Oh, mind you, I'm going to insert something else. Winfield still had segregated proms. Okay? So that was up until I graduated in 2011.
This is crazy.
That was happening. And so, it was two separate schools, and just, imagine what, Black people were being taught based on what they knew, based on what their Black teachers knew, which was limited resources. So there's an educational, struggle. And I think that this touches on systematic racism, so of course, you're expecting these kids to go on, be developed, learn these things. But as Black teachers are providing the information that they know, which is not as much
Not
as
as
their
much
white
as they should.
counterparts.
Yeah, right.
And so it's a continuation. So just to know that he had access to all of this land, but he didn't know what he had access to. He couldn't read or write. And it's just, trying to imagine living life that way.
Right.
Imagine living life like that. And, just to see that happening still in this time, I'm blown away.
Yeah, imagine living life not equaling up to the people that you feel you should be equal with.
Imagine how prideful it could kind of make you as a person to kind of tense up and be like, well, I can't read, but I have to protect myself. Mm-hmm. I don't want people to see that I can't do these things. Right. And so you teach your kids, it starts to pass down the line. You teach your kids, you can't
doing something from a trauma.
Yeah, you can't show people that you feel. You can't show people you can't read. If you can't read, you have to know how to finagle the system. Right. Because people can't know because they'll abuse you.
That is exactly what black people have learned how to do. Finagle the system.
I agree.
Okay? Because they have not been given, first of all, we can't even start from finagling the system. We got to go all the way back.
Yeah.
We weren't even taught the things to begin with to even learn how to work the system.
Yeah.
So let's go back there.
Yeah.
My great grandmother, which I spent most of my alone time with, more than my grandmother and mama, growing up, she was born in 1927. So she experienced a lot. She was born in Mississippi. Yeah. She also was not able to finish elementary school because she had to work as well. Mm-hmm. So all of that talk about, hey, it was so long ago. Hey, I spent a lot of time with my great grandmother. She died when I was in 9th grade. Yeah. So it's very much alive in me today.
Yeah. I mean, a personal story for me too is my dad. My dad was born in 1949. He served in the military. He served in the Vietnam War. And my dad used to always tell me stories. And actually, so yesterday was June the 5th, and so it was my dad's birthday. My dad passed away, but it was his birthday. So, hey, happy belated birthday, Dad. When he was in the military, he would always, he experienced a lot of segregation and racism in the military as well. My dad used to talk about how he wasn't really provided with the same gear that other his white counterparts were provided with. Right. He came back from the war, and so this is traumatic to me too. And I remember, and I had to kind of search back. I had to do a full evaluation on myself and my own biases, and this is personal because I found myself taking on my dad's mind frame, because at the time what he experienced, even though he was letting me know in a whole different time period, it was harder for me to let go because I couldn't believe that those things were ever done to him. It carries on to the next generation.
It's still there, and we're wondering why black people are still oppressed, and why black people feel the way that they do sometimes. It's because it's still there. Yeah. We still are living it.
Yeah, it's taking on different forms.
Yes.
It's all the same.
Yes. And you said your dad was born in like the 1940s or something, which was very close to a lot of the segregation stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just a rough time for the black people in general, peacefully protesting.
Peacefully protesting.
And here we are today complaining about everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's frustrating because if we hop into media for a little bit right now, and this is the insert, but right now in media, something they're talking a lot about is just the way in which, and this is related to the riots, the way in which we chose to go about protesting peacefully. I heard Jemele Hill talk about this, and I love Jemele Hill so much, but she went on to talk about how there were so many naysayers and so many people that were against what Colin Kaepernick was doing by taking a knee, but didn't understand why he did what he did. So she was basically sort of putting into perspective, a different perspective, what Drew Brees mentioned. He was calling out those people who disrespect the American flag. And so what Jemele Hill was saying was, Breeze, if you would have taken a little bit of time to at least research or do your homework, maybe even ask around, because that's a possibility, to know why Colin Kaepernick chose to do what he did, then you would know that his intent was never to be disrespectful. In fact, he went on to get advice from a former military person, personnel, former military personnel, just to make sure that he went about doing what he did in an appropriate way, in a way that wasn't dishonoring those who have fought for the freedoms that we have today. And that's what actually made him kneel. He kneeled because kneeling is a sign of honor. It's a sign of respect. And so I was listening to her and I was blown away by that, because that was another form of peaceful protesting that has in fact caused the man to have a really hard time finding a job, and several others as well.
Let's talk about the war on drugs in the 1980s and the 1990s. And it yet again takes us back to why the black family feels the way that they feel today. And during the 1980s and 90s, it was just a time where black men specifically, were arrested. And so here you are, taking black men out of the homes, okay? Leaving mothers to raise kids by themselves. What are kids going to do without their dads in the home? They're probably going to get into something. They're probably going to learn something a different way that it was intended for them to learn. So therefore, here it is, another generation messed up because of something that the system implemented that hurted the black family.
Because what does it do?
It's hurted the word.
I felt it, Jordan. I felt it. Heard it. I felt it. I did, for real.
But,
taking the father out of the home, it essentially causes more work for the mother.
The mother.
So the mother has to do the work of two parents. So which means that to a woman, just being a mother or just being the nurturing mother, whatever your parenting style is, just being you isn't enough. You have to take on you, and you got to take on the characteristics of someone else that's supposed to be helping to raise the child. And I think it's become common that there are broken families. It's become an expectation.
It's become an expectation.
At least expectation. When I think about that, I think about Fantasia had a song, and she was talking about baby mamas. And, it's a badge of honor to be a baby mama. And, hey, look, I know it was an anthem for those of you out there that are working hard to make ends meet and to take care of your children. And I'm not knocking that at all, because I totally agree. But what I am saying is that now it's began to, what has happened, just what Jordan was mentioning, what has kind of become out of all of that is that we feel like that is the only way. I feel like there can't be a long-standing family. It can't be 20 plus years worth of marriage. It can't be 20 plus years worth of happiness and family and us being together, not just because we want to exist or coexist with each other, but because we really love each other. Not for the sake of the kids, but because we truly love each other. That can't be a reality for us.
And the truth of the matter is that the black culture never chose that for themselves.
No.
Somebody else did. And so we are having to deal with something that we never controlled from the beginning. And we are angry about it. And we deserve to be angry, which is why we are affirming the black culture now and informing those, maybe even some of those who may not be aware of the history of the black family in general, but we are informing that person too, if they're black, whatever color they are. Here's something to think on. Imagine that single mother who is on Section 8 right now with about 3 kids, no father in the home or whatever. Imagine her renting from the government on the same land that could have been hers about, 5 generations ago. Imagine that particular land that someone may have stolen from her grandparents, her great-great-great-great-grandparents or something. So it's definitely that going on. And so this is just some of the things that we as blacks are having to deal with. Going to buy land that may be ours to begin with. Years and years later, the oil that's coming out of the ground is actually ours and not the person who owns it now. Let's just think about that for a second.
Honestly, like gentrification. Woo! So you guys, we want to keep you guys informed just about all the above. So we want to plug into different things that you may or may not have heard about to really spark your interest, maybe enough for you to go and do your own homework and not just take our word for it.
Yes. We just wanted to share, hey, this is why black people are so mad.
Yes. And this is exactly what we do. With Baggage Claimed, this is a community where we create a safe place to be able to talk about things like that. Of course, we're aware these things go on the internet.
Right.
Yes. Whatever we say right now is subject to scrutiny. Hey, but what we do our best to do, because we tell personal stories.
Right.
You know, we name drop. We talk about the things that we really deal with. And that is a part of what we stand for.
Yeah.
And so we want you guys to know that we are here to talk about it. We are here to unpack that baggage that we've been dealing with for so long. And this ties into our message, of course, because it's just the baggage that we're both black people.
We are dealing with.
We
have to carry.
with.
So just in case you are watching this and you are still discouraged, that black man, that black woman, if you are still discouraged, it's not your fault. It is not your fault. There has been a whole lineage of stuff that has led up to you being in this place. So we are wanting to affirm you and let you know that, hey, it's not your fault. You can learn some new things and keep moving forward. We are not going to let anybody oppress us or keep us down.
No, guys. This is just the beginning. So we started off with this. We just wanted to, of course, affirm and to inform so that everybody in this community can know where we're at. We can be on the same page. We can be able to see the hearts of other people. Yes. Now, part 2 to that. We're not just going to leave you there. We're not going to leave you there. We do plan on doing a continuation of this in source. It may look differently. We plan on Jordan was talking about mentors that we have that have experienced certain things. So we really want to kind of hone into that and utilize that because we were not born in that period. So we want to talk to those people who have actually had those experiences, have stories passed down from loved ones. And if that's you, connect with us, reach out to us. Send us a DM, send us an email. We'll list down below our contact information. So our email address, our Instagram, Facebook. So reach out to us. We want to interview you. We want to talk to you. We just want to collaborate with you so that we can get information and share your story as well. It's not just about us and the stories that we have, but as our community, we want to hear from you. We love you guys, and we really value what you have to say.
Yes. See you guys next week.
Yes.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Imagine all the people